Welcome to the last day of the Cobx Masters LAN. We are here in the final day of matches for both Dota and CSGO, and we are going to get to crown not just one winner, but two for this fantastic LAN that gives you double the fun for half the price. Whoa! Yeah, excited! But before we get into the matches of the day, we're going to get a quick look to the schedule for the day, which will be shown behind me on this magnificent screen. Look at that. Starting us off will be the Dota matches, of course, always comes first. Signify will try to beat Tigers in a best of three. A lot of local fans, I see. Then the winner of this match will go to the final, where Detonator will be waiting for them to see who can claim that beautiful trophy. And afterwards, we get the excitement of the final match for CSGO, where MVP PK will try to take it away from Alpha Red. Both teams, by the way, coming here with a 2-0 in the respective games. Pretty exciting stuff. Finally, the best teams will be duking it out against each other. And now, we can finally start with the first match of the day. As I just said, this first match will have two amazing teams that made it to the playoffs. They passed the group stage. This is their first time, though, playing in an elimination match. The first team for today, I don't really think I need to present them because you guys all know them. They're a local team. They're loved by many. The first team today will be Signify! Now they're finally up here on stage. We get to meet their opponents. Again, their first playoff match as well, but they already bedazzled us in the group stages. These guys come in with savage force straight from the jungle. Can we hear a roar for Tigers? Both teams are up here on stage. You get to take a look at these marvelous specimens, these pinnacle of Dota players. And now, if both captains can please approach me. We'll start out with the locals. You're here in your home country, super excited playing the first international LAN. I'm just gonna ask, how do you feel?
We really feel good about this event, and we're excited to play Tigers. They're a very strong team. Looking forward to playing them.
Looking forward to playing this game. Very humble, very calm, prepared for the game. Now, asking Tigers, you're playing against the local legends. Are you afraid?
Definitely not afraid, but we respect every opponent, so we're looking forward to a great match.
Fantastic. Can you guys both please shake hands? What a marvelous show of sportsmanship. These two fantastic teams, feel free, will entertain you for the next best of three. We are ready to get into the match. Both teams can now go to their respective computers, and we will now give it over to the panel with Shane.
Thank you very much, Swordfish. A pleasure as always to see you on the stage. I'm here at the Cobx Masters live from Mumbai, where we have India's biggest esports tournament. I was going to say Dota tournament, but it actually has both CSGO and Dota combined. I'm with Dragon Drop and Gareth. You ready for this semi-final, boys?
Absolutely, absolutely. I've been dying to wait to watch Signify play. You know, we've cast a bunch of them over the years in online tournaments and stuff like that, and now it's their time to prove their position in the Asian scene.
I think everyone here has been waiting for Signify to get on that stage and show what they're made of. I know, like, a lot of people, they actually have quite a lot of faith in them. Pile Dai yesterday was saying that he thinks they're going to win the tournament. That's a big name backing you up right there. What do you think of the team in general?
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far because Tigers are also pretty damn strong. But Signify, yeah, it's a shame that we didn't see them on day one. Both of the games were off stage, but they won them pretty easily, just if you look at the records of that. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see them just use this pressure that must be on them right now on the main stage in their home country. 3 of them come from Mumbai directly, so hometown favorites in the literal sense. So my biggest question is here in this best of 3 whether they can use whether they can use that pressure to forge diamonds or whether they're going to crumble under it.
That's kind of what the Cobx Masters is about, right? Getting these outside talents from international teams to come to India to play against India's best teams and kind of see what is made out of it. It's exciting stuff.
Yep.
Let's talk about this series then. Let's talk about Tigers. Right, you got big names, obviously. Like, we don't need to tell anyone anything about Dendy. He is the poster boy for Dota. He is, when you think about Dota, his name is synonymous with it. How do you feel they're going to perform, Tigers?
Well, like Steven said, like they're not afraid. They are confident. They have every right to be. They're a very experienced team. They have a very experienced captain as well, which is also always important. You know, just to keep that composure to make sure that you can withstand anything that they throw at you. Like. Because Signify, they have a few tricks up their sleeve, but we can get to that a little bit later. But yeah, I think Tigers are going to do just fine.
Okay, when you look at Tigers' results in the group stage, they actually came second, which is maybe a bit of a surprise to a lot of people going into this tournament. And at least initially, when I looked at it, I thought, oh, Tigers, they're probably going to be the favorite. But another big team came out of that is Detonators. Yeah. They're waiting in the final, but Tigers weren't able to match up to them. Do you think that would affect them coming into this?
I think especially with their 2-0 loss in the qualifiers for Dota Pit as well, there's definitely a lot of loss of momentum for them. Against Signify, who are on a bit of a hot streak, they've definitely got to pick up the pace. Tigers have got a lot of work to do.
They do indeed. I got to say though, especially against Detonator, these two teams, they seem to have a bit of a strange relationship. Like if you go back, they've played a lot against each other in recent months, and sometimes Tigers win, sometimes Detonators win, so I'm not sure if that's really much of an indicator of Tigers in general. Maybe just some kink with how the styles match up in that particular instance. So, that being said, speaking of styles, I wonder if they're going to match up properly against Signify.
Let's talk about heroes. You guys said you've casted a lot of Signify. Is there any standout players? Who's the man to look for the action in this squad?
I mean, there's a couple of them. They've got some interesting heroes as well. Blizzard likes to fall back on Slark from time to time. There's the No Chance Darks here, which is one of their key pivotal heroes. But I think looking towards the mid lane for Swifty, he plays these very heavy tempo setters, the Puck, the Lina, the Kunkka, that like to make very early game rotations to try and get on the map and make things happen.
Okay. How do you, like, from a personality standpoint, I know this Crowley guy, their captain, he's a bit of a character, right? He lifts up the spirits. It must be nice to play with someone like that, someone so like lighthearted and bubbly, right?
Absolutely. It gives you, I would imagine it gives you a lot of confidence, just going into the game, having someone that can just take your mind off of the gravity of the situation. You know, just as soon as the game starts, you need to be able to get into the zone where it's just a game of Dota, right? Where you can play your best because you don't have to worry about all of the implications of the game.
Okay, then let's talk about maybe standout players for Tigers. Like, obviously, we could talk about Dendy, but Velo on the offlane here, he's kind of been impressing me a lot.
Especially when he's on heroes like Centaur or Timbersaw that can just go in. I think if they're able to rally around Velo, I think you hit the nail on the head. He's definitely the kind of guy to look for in this team, because he's the primary initiator. He's really the one, that builds all these kind of, aura items for the team and hits that timing. And Dota nowadays is very much about the timings.
It's all about that. It feels like the game itself revolves almost around your offlaner's timings. Like if your offlaner struggles, if he has a bad hero matchup, that's why I think the draft in this is going to come down to a lot, right? You have these heroes like Monkey King, these lane winners, right, against these melee.
Razor.
Razor is another one. Yeah, you want to watch out for that, especially against a team like Tigers. You cannot give them the upper hand in the early game.
Which might be a little bit difficult because if you look at the hero pools that these players have, they're actually very broad, which is super useful to have available to you in this draft. Like if you look at Velo's past heroes, he's played a lot of Centaur Tide, as I said, also Sven, Slada, Brewmaster, all of these classic offlane heroes, a few interesting ones also being mixed in there. So there's always a lot of opportunity to just surprise your opponent in the draft already.
What do you think are the key heroes for this matchup? Like maybe the first bans. We saw Shadow Shaman been used to great effect yesterday.
I think Lich and Grimstroke are two heroes that definitely
as a
Signify like to
combo,
play.
or
As a combo, but so Grimstroke and Lich, or Lich on its own.
Okay.
Tigers do like to play the Lich from time to time. It's definitely something that is going to be contested by Signify as well. There's also, heroes like Puck. We've seen Dendi play it, and we know that Swifty loves to pick that hero up from time to time. I'm wondering if Lina might become one of those heroes as well, because through the tournament we've seen a number of Lina pickups, and
even last bans on Lina. I think we've seen that like 3 or 4 times.
for sure. And as teams kind of learn and grow from the tournament kind of ecosystem itself, they pick up that one hero that that works there. That's pretty nice.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree. But when you look at Signify, especially, like, they do like to pick up these kind of combos. Lich Grimstroke was one thing that they run. And they also picked up the PA, which also has some good synergy with the Lich itself, right? Throw the Frost Shield on, PA jumps in, you're not going to die, you're going to get that extra slow, extra couple of right clicks in the lane. So I'd be looking towards that. Nyx Assassin, also a hero that these teams like very much.
Is that just a region thing? Like, when I look at other Dota, I don't see Nyx as highly contested as I do here. What's that about?
It's still pretty decent in Europe. It's here it stops or deters people from picking heroes like Puck, like Ember Spirit, these highly maneuverable heroes that like to split and push out lanes. Even Juggernaut can suffer to Nyx just because of that instant invisible strike coming out and catching you off guard before you can spin. It's just one of those heroes that gives you the vision, gives you initiation, and doesn't necessarily require too many items or levels. Once he hits 6, he hits one of his main power spikes.
Yeah, it maybe even protects a bit from like Leshrac a little bit.
Yeah, all the int cores,
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing worse. I actually hate it when you're playing an int core against the Nyx late game. You take like 1,000 damage from a mana burn. It feels really bad.
You've got Odie there. Well,
Goodbye.
feels bad.
You don't anymore.
Odie was picked up quite a lot as well in this tournament so far.
In a couple of weird spots as well. I'm not sure how I feel about that hero in general. I like it in certain lane matchups. He does reasonably well. He's pretty powerful getting into that Midas, Hex, BKB, so you kind of know what timings you're going to hit. But it's that mid-game period where if he doesn't have a good mid-game and can't progress into his second or third item, he falls flat more often than not.
What do you think about the current state of the game and how it affects these teams? Like when I think about Dendi, for example, I think about him as this kind of greedy mid laner that needs kind of to be protected. At least that's how he was in his later days in Navi. At the start, obviously, he played the playmakers like Puck, Batrider, but he changed. And how do you think the current meta fits like Tigers players?
Yeah, I feel like there's less of an emphasis on rotations into mid, or if there are, then it's a little bit easier to scout them out, because normally you want to have this aggressive dual lane, you want to make sure that the enemy carry doesn't get a whole lot, but you still need to protect your own safe laner in the same way. So these supports are mostly tied up, which means you can get away with picking up these classic Dendi mid heroes like Shadow Fiend, for example, that can also always fall back into the jungle. So you can have this very efficient rotation where you just push out the wave, get into the jungle, get ahead, get further ahead without having much of an issue. So I think that's pretty much fits. Yeah. Dendi, as you said, wants to just get to that point, and then he starts making plays. Then he starts taking over the game, essentially.
Yeah, so the draft is very important, making sure you get Dendi the favorable matchup, or vice versa, right? It's very, very important.
I kind of like seeing him on these Greaves heroes, and I'm wondering, we saw the Queen of Pain yesterday with the Greaves
that
build.
was kind of unusual to me.
I kind of liked it though.
Yeah.
It felt pretty nice because you've got the aggressive skill set. You don't necessarily need, any more aggressive itemization.
I know.
And then you can, like Greaves into Aghanims feels like you cover a lot of the bases.
I never, whenever you play Queen of Pain, you never really feel like you need items, right? It always just felt a bit like...
Your arsenal is powerful enough.
Exactly. Anything else was just a bonus. So having a Greaves, you can blink in far more confidently and not be like, oh, I'm dead. Because that's how it felt. If you made a mistake on Queen of Pain, it was kind of like it snowballed or it snowballed backwards.
And very often, if you felt you needed a defensive item, it would be the Yule Scepter to defend against stuns, silences, dispel or disjoint abilities. And Greaves kind of covers that and more with the kind of team bonus it gives you.
I'm surprised it wasn't nerfed heavier. I'm
What
going
was
to be
it, like
honest.
100 gold extra on the
the recipe cost.
Yeah,
That was it.
That was pretty much it.
We actually have a draft available to us here. We got Nyx Assassin, first ban. We were talking about it.
There you go.
Interesting. And on the other side, Signify banned the Bounty Hunter.
Is the Shadow Shaman going to get through? Put in your predictions now.
I think it's...
I think Signify will ban it out. I don't think Tigers will, but I think Signify, if you ban the Shadow Shaman, you don't completely remove, but you definitely limit the push strats, along with the kind of Lycan, build-up that we've seen them play around.
Also the double destroyable objects, like for example the Tombstone plus the Shadow Shaman wards, or even we saw Pugna in the past as well. That used to be the combo.
Rest in peace, Phoenix. Not even getting a mention.
Yeah, exactly. He had a good run. He was way too strong for too long.
There's the Oracle, another one we mentioned. Honestly, the bans on the supports, the heroes that I listed to be contested are like 5 supports and 1 core.
That's true.
Because it definitely feels like the battle between these position 4s and 5s on these two teams, in terms of hero pool anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of utility that can come from these supports if you pick the right heroes. Like, again, Shadow Shaman is the prime example. We keep talking about it. We keep talking about the Shadow Shaman just because he ticks so many boxes, right?
Yeah.
You're good at trading because you have a ridiculous amount of right-click damage, and you have a nuke that's probably the best at level 1 with the Ether Shock. You have a disable that lasts for 2.5 seconds with just a single point into it. You have the instant hacks, and you have a way to push down objectives once you hit your ultimate. So it's such an enormous amount of utility just from levels, just from a single hero.
It's not even just that, it's the power of his right-click in lane, right? You try and contest him, he whacks. Them Maracas, man, I don't know what he's packing in them, but they're strong. Rubik is the 3rd ban. That's unusual enough, but maybe is it a Signify staple? The Rubik?
It's one of those heroes, right, where if you're banning all of these supports, Rubik is a very good fallback plan, and that kind of plan B, where he, like Dragon Drop said, it's like Shadow Shaman ticks a lot of boxes and doesn't really give anything away. So I think it's a kind of blanket ban on the Rubik rather than a specific player-to-hero matchup. I was maybe expecting Tigers to ban out maybe one of the weirder heroes for Signify, because they're a team that likes to pull out the Nature's Prophet, the Venomancer, heroes like this that give them additional pushing strength, along with, like a Terrorblade, for instance, where they set up a bunker around an objective, push a tier 1, and try and build their momentum that way. But they're going with a very, very kind of straightforward plan A ban so far.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Just ban the Shadow Shaman, Signify. Get rid of it.
They're thinking about it. I mean, taking a lot of their reserve time right now, even in the first banning phase, which is not really usual.
I like the Bounty Hunter ban. I like just the fact that you secure your safe lane, you make sure there's no shenanigans going on down there. You have your core has a lot of farm, and he has the game you need him to have in this situation.
I'm wondering if Signify bans Centaur here and maybe try and line up the Grimstroke Lich pick. Centaur with the Stampede is pretty good at disengaging from the Soulbind. And it's something that Velo has played very successfully over the past couple of weeks.
So they're opening with Centaur? So that's your
I think Signify will ban it in,
okay.
in their 3rd spot. There goes the Razor.
That's the Razor.
That's the...
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to pick your poison, right? If you don't ban the Centaur, maybe the Razor comes out and ruins your day, right? Especially if you are maybe also already looking towards this PA Lich combo that they've run before.
Nature's Prophet pick. So they don't ban it, they take it themselves.
Yep. Interesting.
And this can go into like any position. This
I
could be for Velo.
I love when you open like that. My favorite hero used to be Morana, or Potom, or whatever she's called. She used to be the best hero for this, because you open with it, it used to be able to play any role, and it's just so versatile. And Nature's Prophet is exactly that, especially with the 5, 4, 3, and I've even
2,
seen 2
1.
and 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
literally
all.
any
Yeah.
role. Jungle, play position 6, jungle and
It
profit.
literally does it all.
Yeah.
Not all at the same time, but
There's the Grimstroke. Do we
Yeah.
get the double support opening though?
I love Grimstroke into these summon units. The amount of amplification you get off your Q when they're trying to group up and push.
Grim Doom, Grim Nightstalker are also things that Signify love to play around with. The Soulbind with the AoE silence of Nightstalker is absolutely sickening, but of course you've got the Doom with the double Doom. That could be a potent pickup for them as well. I think more often than not we see support position 3 picked up in the first phase.
I like Sand King with him as well. It's not really a hero that's picked often, but the lane is so powerful.
oh yeah,
You have so much kill potential. They go for the Lich,
goes
the
for the
classic.
Lich. It's super safe, right? I mean, it's a little bit light on lockdown. That's kind of the one thing that you immediately identify. It also doesn't give you any sort of push from that position. So
And also they're two squishy dudes.
yeah, that as well. And they're basically, it's a very powerful ultimate combo. But if they don't get it off together, then it might end up feeling like it's like, what are these things? What are these guys doing here? Right?
One thing I never really thought about until recently about Grimstroke, when you're picking supports into it, they have to have decent attack animations.
Yeah.
Like trying to play a
Crystal
slow
Maiden, have
yeah,
fun.
Exactly. You cannot kill the paint or whatever is on you.
Phantom's Embrace.
The little bug.
Small little
Yeah,
buggy.
I just call them all bugs. Weaver's bugs, Grimstroke
It-
bug.
it is paint
It's just
though,
a
right?
little bug, yeah. He's painted a bug on you. And this Lich pick, it opens up a lot of these safe lane agi carries that they like to play. The PA, the Slark we mentioned. Juggernaut works very well with the Lich. So it's a very
Oh,
versatile kind of laning pick.
So here we go. The Dendi Shadow Fiend, you brought it up in the draft.
Again, with
First
Shadow
phase
Fiend.
Shadow Fiend though, like is that a thing?
Yeah,
Can-
they did it in the game yesterday.
Yeah, I know, but is it a real thing, or can't you counter this out relatively easily?
The
in lane?
kind of, I don't want to say the new SF, but the more modern SF compared to the one that maybe we're used to historically, especially with the Greaves build and the build up now. I feel he's pretty powerful, and the timing you can hit with an early Shadow Fiend. I don't feel like he's limited too much, and you mentioned that he can fall back into the jungle.
I don't like if you pick a TA, is that what you're saying? Like pick some sort of lane counter?
Yeah.
I feel like even if you do, the rest of the team is going to be able to split. Like already with Nature's Prophet, you can make space for him to farm the jungle, and I don't think they really care if his lane goes kind of a little bad. If he still gets a reasonable Greaves timing, that's kind of the strategy. And then he's a natural BKB carrier into this combo.
And it's not necessarily about the Greaves, right? It's like Arcane's mech, group up with the team, push, tower, then Greaves comes naturally off the back of it. I like that ban. 1437 has been playing a lot of Venge, and it feels like they are pretty certain about their strength around it.
I wouldn't mind a hero like Slardar. It's something we used to see with Shadow Fiend a lot. It just gives you that early Roche. The lane isn't exactly scary for Slardar, like Lich, Grimstroke. They're not heroes that have a large amount of kill potential, unless you kind of mess up a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
if you go too far forward, you might just get slowed down too much. Also, kind of depends on what carry Signify wants to pick up. Juggernaut has been banned, so that
Lina.
would have been a good one, but
Here we go.
they're just sticking to the guns. Gotta give it to
Soulbind,
them, right?
Laguna Blade,
Yeah.
Chain Frost. Oh boy.
And then someone accidentally uses. And then it's oh no.
Don't even say that, man. You're gonna jinx them.
So they are playing pretty comfort picks here, and I think this draft so far, the trio that they've got, the follow-on picks that we've seen a lot from Signify have been like Darkseer, Ursa, Darkseer, Slark, Darkseer, something. I think Darkseer might be one that pops his head out.
Tiger's probably pick it up right now though.
Yeah.
Like Oracle, first of all, is banned. The main lane counter.
And then you just rush pipe on the
Jug-
Darkseer.
Juggernaut's also banned. Lycan is decent against Darkseer too, so you're kind of left with Anti-Mage if they do pick Darkseer. I don't think Anti-Mage is fast enough a pace to deal with this Greaves. Nature's Prophetry ends pushing.
Yeah.
I don't feel it.
It also doesn't really fit too well with Signify, I would feel like.
Because they all use magical spells? Or?
Yeah,
Yeah, makes sense.
Because I feel like you want at least one here that can sort of right-click in the mid-game. Because Anti-Mage, he's not going to get online for like 20, 30 minutes. He can't really join into these fights, so we want some sustained damage in these mid-game team fights to buy that space. And
Lich has Frost Shield, though. I disagree because of
Yeah.
Frost Shield.
You just blink in,
Yeah.
frost shield on.
Go in, I don't-
like level
don't
2
think
AM
cares.
with
Yeah,
level 1
okay.
Frost Shield on him is ridiculously
You
powerful.
can get the old EE Orb of Venom as well if you're feeling it.
Yeah?
I think it's pretty solid.
Okay.
Le Shrek. Okay, so all three of your heroes push it very, very quickly.
This is how Tigers have been trying to play, is that very early 20-minute timing, hit the towers, get up in the enemy's faces, don't let them farm, and try and
So-
take that big chunk of the map in the enemy jungle.
Shadow Shaman's still in the pool as well.
Okay.
That's some insanity, actually.
Yeah, it kind of is.
He's been hyping the hero up so much, and then it's like, oh, ignored. in the
I'm pretty sure they're gonna
first half
pick
of the
it.
draft. Yeah.
They need some lockdown to, like, you can't rely on another Shrek stun. It's crazy.
Are you saying they're too bad to land it without a setup?
I'm just saying it's very difficult to land.
It is. It actually is.
Oh, there's the cone head.
That is.
Mr. Purple.
They needed something to be able to tank some damage, right?
Yeah.
Lina, Lich, Grimstroke, all these heroes are made of paper.
Comfort pick as well. I mean, I like that left strike more and more now. Thinking about the heroes that Signify want to last pick. You know, these agi carries,
Yeah.
the Slark in particular can struggle against the magic damage of the Leshrac, the Shadow Fiend. They've got this
Yeah.
spill damage that does very well against the sneaky maneuverable ones.
Tigers could even pick the anti-mage themselves because they have so much like group up and push with the other three heroes they've picked so far.
Insurance policy.
Yeah, exactly. Just I think go for Lifestealer, another good lane matchup.
And especially against the magic combos that they have, that rage.
Oh boy. I look at Signify's draft, and when he presses Q, what did they do?
You can't pick a position one with, you can't force yourself to pick a pos one just because he's got, magic community piercing abilities, right?
No,
Maybe you just go for a P. I think you might just have to go for PA here. Tigers are going to ban.
What else is there left? Like, is there still a case to be made for Ursa? I mean, it's a good
No,
matchup
yeah.
against a
That's
Lifestealer.
also
and
true.
it's very good with Grimstroke too, right? That lane in general
Yeah,
is quite strong though. The Grimstroke Darkseer, just Surge plus Ion Shell plus the Grimstroke stun.
Yeah.
I think you might be right. Well, one of the two. If Ursa gets banned, I think PA,
Yeah.
and vice versa. And what do Tigers need? I'm looking at this pos 5 profit, so they need a 4.
They need lockdown.
A star.
Badly. Very bad.
You could honestly still be looking for the Slaughter here together with the little Shrek in the offlane.
It's just last pick Shadow Shaman.
We'll do that.
Well,
Yeah,
why
either
not?
way it works. With Slaughter, eventually you're gonna have a nice little carrier for the Lifestealer. You blink in, you crush, you corrosive haze, Lifestealer pops out, hits them twice, and anyone they find is gonna get dead. But
I think they need some more lockdown though, right? Like it's a lot to
Yeah.
rely on. Is just like waiting on that blink dagger timing, and they don't really do that much until then.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough. Like some two of their heroes have natural ways to get out of the sprout.
Or is this a 3 profit 4 Lesh? Oh,
Sand King.
Sand King Lesh, that is a strong lane.
That's some
That
old
works.
school stuff right there, actually. That was the Dota 1 like death lane.
So it's going to be pos 5 profit more likely than not.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think you want Leshrac in a 4 position. 4 or 3, but
Yeah, SK
this
Lesh are going to play that
Yeah,
kind
they
of
can-
3-4 balance.
They can play whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter too much.
Sand King is yet another hero that makes it really awkward to pick a melee carry against because of the Sandstorm annoying you
Yep.
or the Caustic Finale.
I think Tigers have done really well to set themselves up, but that's a big pick, actually.
I like it a lot, yeah. The Rage, stealing the Rage is
Oh,
god
yeah.
tier in this game.
The adaptive strikes into Grimstroke, Soulbind.
E-Blade later. Yeah, all right. I like Signify's last pick, but I'm still going to have to favor Tigers. What do you think, guys?
I'm going with Signify. They've got 4 really heavy comfort picks here, and I think the Morphling, we've seen it throughout the tournament perform exceptionally well. Difficult to deal with. Not too many silences or disables like we've been mentioning, so if he gets a good amount of free farm early on, it could be a good game for him. I'm going Signify.
Dragon Drop?
I'm a bit on the fence just because Tigers, they came in as the favorites into this entire tournament, and but Signify have so many ways to take fights, and as soon as they get the levels, Tigers are going to have a hard time engaging into them at all, so I think you got to go with Signify as well.
All right. With that, we start our second semi-final of the Cobx Masters, and we throw it over to our casters. Gareth, no. Capitalist, and Blitz. Smooth.
Yes, that's right. It's not the first semifinals with Gareth. It's the second semifinals with Captain Blitz. We've got Signify versus Tigers, and we've got some throwbacks here. First of all, we had the last pickup of Sand King for TNC Tigers, which was a hero at like 720, was really powerful. But as Shane also mentioned, it was like one of those Dota 1 combos, the Sand King Leshrac duo. But Signify also taking a little bit of a step back and going for the Grimstroke Lich that was so powerful in 720 as well.
Yeah, Grim Lich, I think it's always going to be a really strong combo. All you really need to do is execute the ult once. And even with the rage involved, it's really annoying for Lifestealer to play because if it goes off twice, for the most part, it'll continue to bounce even during the duration of your rage, and by the time it comes back to you, and it goes so fast, so it's really hard to avoid. They don't have the fastest heroes in the game. Like, Dendy's not going to go for... he's most likely, anyways, not going to go for the move speed talent.
Yeah.
Like, almost everybody just goes for the presence. This might be one of the games where you consider it. BKB is going to be a huge pickup on him, but pre-BKBs, that combo is going to be really good, but it needs levels, meaning that their laning phase has to go well.
And that has been a continual problem for many of the teams here at Cobx Masters, is that we see too often that one of these teams just dominates the laning phase, and they just start kind of like snowballing from there. They start getting a bit of a mid-game advantage, and it just goes and goes and goes. So it is definitely, there's not only that problem for Lifestealer. He's got the mobility issue from Grimstroke Ultimate, but we even have a mobility advantage for Signify coming out with the Darkseer and the Morphling. I feel like this Lifestealer is going to have a hard time getting on top of people.
Yeah, it's going to be sort of a difficult game for him just because if his laning phase doesn't go well and Sand King does pressure pretty well, then I think it's going to be hard for him to come back. But I don't think that's that bad of a lane, right? SK Lesh? I guess it's annoying, but do you die to it ever? Like you
As
have
a Morphling, I mean, it just means you can't be like full agility all the times.
Yeah, I guess the thing about it is that Lesh, the new build for him isn't burst.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like-
not. It's you don't get the lightning.
Yeah, it's
anymore.
damage over time, and
Yeah.
damage over time that's like Morphling's bread and butter. He's really good against heroes like that can't just insta burst him. That's why, for example, like Lina's really popular against Morphling
Yeah.
because you just, I've seen so many times Ramses with like 400 health just gets Laguna bladed from fog.
We were casting that game, right? What was it?
Yeah, it was a Chinese Lina. Maybe it was like Ori or something. He just walked up.
He just walks into the jungles, kills Ramses twice. The one counterpoint to that, though, is Morphling is low range. He's not a full 600 range hero, and any of those lower range heroes are susceptible to the Sand King, whether it's you're being in range of Burrow Strike or Sandstorm or Caustic Finale. Actually, all three of the abilities of Sand King. I don't know what build you go for Sand King anymore, because you did have some recent buffs. They buffed the AoE of Sandstorm, they buffed the range of Burrow Strike, and they actually rebuffed the damage of Sandstorm. When initially they put it in, it went up to, I think, 100 damage, and it felt like it was kind of too overpowered. And so they nerfed it, and then they actually brought it back, and now it goes up to, at level 4, 95 damage instead of 100.
Yeah, the 20, 40, 60, 80 was pretty low. As we are going to hop back into the game, both teams ready, and looks like right now, anyways, they have both their heroes that pressure going top. And it looks like, no, Velo's going to swerve off. And he's going to head towards bottom lane.
We're going to head into the game. For our game one of this best of 3 between Signify and Tigers. I do wonder, like, what's a Grimstroke going to do with the Darkseer?
I'm not sure. I mean, you put some pressure, right? You have 2 different ways to the move speed with the Inkswell. Like, you can Inkswell plus Surge and just run at people.
That's true.
That's not a terrible
I didn't
combo.
think about that.
You can clear out the lane really fast with Stroke of Fate if you decide to go in that direction. You just Stroke of Fate, push out the lanes.
But you can't really pressure a Lifestealer very
Yeah.
well, right?
I mean, that's always been the thing about playing against Lifestealer lane, right? They do have some kill potential, and I think Phantom's Embrace is one of the best ways to deal with those like instant rage heroes, like Lifestealer or Jug. It's a really good kill starter anyways.
Zephyr going to lead the way with his Treants. The level 1 Bounty Rune fights against a Nature's Prophet is always difficult because nobody can really fight the Treants very well. That's why we're going to see Signify try and loop around, steal away the Bounty Rune away from Raven, but Raven does manage to body block him and get the bounty picked up, but he's going to take a lot of damage for this.
Tigers actually got all 4 Bounty Runes.
Did they really? They got the other side too?
They're almost up 1k already.
Wow.
And run.
Well, that's definitely worth the cost of tangos for Raven.
Oh, for sure.
And I could see how the Sand King Lesh should be able to easily push out a Morphling Lich. There's no way you could really fight that one.
And the thing about it is, Lifestealer is so good against heroes like Darkseer because you have a natural built-in lifesteal. You need a few levels, but I mean, right now this lane's going pretty well for Signify. They're pressuring pretty hard.
Yeah, they certainly are.
I think I do favor their draft though, despite the whole 4 Bounty Runes thing. Although I don't know how they start fights. It's the only issue really that I have with their lineup. Like Swifty probably has to go Yules this game, just so that they have some way to open up. I think if he gets Yule Scepters, it solves a lot of their initiation problems.
Do you think Blink Tagger, like we never see like first item Blink Tagger or anything, but do you think that's also in the mind for our Darkseer? No chance. Do you think he's got to get that initiation?
I saw Kezu yesterday play without it. He just like went no levels of it. As Dendi, I mean that ward it always gets de-warded. Everyone always knows about it. Let's see if Dendi's getting a counter ward for himself. Nope. And so this is going to really help out Swifty's lane. Dendi only at 3 and 2. And you can't really trade with level 1 raises against this Lina.
How does this matchup go nowadays?
I think it's really nice for Lina. You're not afraid of the SF at all. It's really hard to get triple raised with the move speed bonus that you get from the Fury Soul.
Yeah.
And the right click kits, like, they're super advantage towards Lina in that regard. Because you get 2 hits for every 1 hit that SF gets. And more importantly, your nuke hits him every single time.
Trying to go for the kill, no chance. Actually going to die first here now. Raven is going to be low enough that Crowley, Mr. Crowley, will be able to get the turnaround kill, but still, Tigers are the ones who walk away with that coveted first
Dire's
blood.
top tower is under
Do you think that's
attack.
worth it? First blood for the carry?
Oh, absolutely. In a lane that's tough as well.
Yeah,
like
I think
Raven's
so too.
probably already burned through some regen.
Oh,
Nice rotation from 1437. That's going to be a massive kill on Swifty. Because as you were saying, this is a Lina favored matchup, and it was showing in the CS score. That is certainly going to help Dendi get back into this lane.
You saw what he did too. 1437 peeled off to make sure that Dendi got the last hit on that. And he's now got his bottle. So his lane's going to go a lot better. He was getting bullied pretty hard. It's 15 and 3 CS to 10 and 4, despite Swifty missing an entire wave just now. And once you get some souls, like, it's not that bad of a matchup. Really hurts Signify that Steven was able to just move in, get a free kill.
You can see that Crowley doesn't really feel like that lane with the Darkseer is the best thing in the world for him. He's going to try and gank as a Grimstroke, and if Dendi is going to see this coming in from the side, but Crowley already has such a high movement speed with the boots and wind lanes, that's going to be the easy kill. And that's going to turn things around back to the favor of Signify.
Well done. They really needed some sort of kill like that, and the immediate reprisal is Dendi's going to miss the creep wave under the tower for this too. He's going to TP back, so he's only going to miss out on 1 creep of XP, which isn't the worst thing.
Darkseer. He's actually going to turn around and do some battle here with this Nature's Prophet, despite how low he was. But a little bit scared of Raven. Does have 1 level of the open wounds.
Yeah, and look at this Grimstroke, just kind of running forward, getting hits off. Not afraid whatsoever. Is Swifty gonna find an Invis rune? No real kill potential for him though, unless somebody TPs in. And he's pinging, but.
Oh, you know what I think is really cool about this Sand King pickup?
What?
They're on Dire's side, right? So you always have the Radiant advantage where you're able to cut the 2 trees and pull that hard camp straight down. Well, the Sand King doesn't care about that. He just runs in and Sandstorm. No chance going to be in a bit of trouble here. The Rage is going to be able to dodge the stun, allowing them to pick up the kill on that Darkseer. And they're still plenty healthy, too. So this Darkseer is just not having a good time in this lane at all. Meanwhile, back over to bottom lane, Fellow was having a good lane. Managed to get off the Sandstorm, though. They lay down a sentry, but can't really pursue.
Yeah, Blizzard has any mana there. They probably get the kill, but instead, it's going to get beat back a little bit as Dendi's, in fact, going to go for both the bounty runes. I like this play. Both mid laners have a bottle. He's going to fully regen.
Swifty will take that time to get some damage on the mid tower. What do you think about that trade-off? Do you think, would you rather see your mid laner always go and secure a bounty rune, or do you like pressuring that mid tower?
I mean, Dendi just needed to get it just so that he can sustain against Lina. Because one of the worst parts about playing SF versus Lina is that you run out of sustain, which is why he decided off to go for a bottle, right? So that he could actually sit in the lane. What ends up happening is around this time, Lina gets level 6, she gets her catapult, and she zones you out of the wave, and you lose your tower right after. That's like the scariest part, so you need some sort of sustain item to keep in check, as that sentry is now dewarded 2 wards. The same sentry, I think.
That's rough.
Yeah. Sentries now last full timer, right?
Yeah.
So they actually got so much value out of that.
Look at that. Such a smart rotation, but 1437 was wise in this one. They do manage to just quickly blow up the Nature's Prophet. He tries to TP in. Crowley does not get hit by the stun, but he's still in range of that diabolic eating, so he will end up falling. A support for support, but it's a 2 versus 3, and Lina was still getting more damage on that tower.
They got so many free hits on this tower, and the next creep wave has come in. So this catapult's hit like 5-6 extra times. This 1437 is going to get the haste rune at bottom, or at the very least secured for Dendi, who really wants to be able to grab that. That actually gives him some solo kill potential on this Lina too. And he can actually make a rotation down. Like, Lina has no idea that he has the haste right now.
Going back to the bottom lane, Bello drops very low, but again, he's just going to get away with such low HP in waveform, not quite finishing him up, and now the strength force, he doesn't have the damage, he barely gets it, but he's in trouble, and he just can't morph into any more strength. He's out of HP. 1437, the support Leshrac, which I was a little curious whether or not he was going to be able to turn into a viable hero with that double kill. Looks like he's going to have a pretty good game.
Yeah, he's going to have arcane boots already. It's level 4. He's not having as good of a game on the side of Zephyr, who only level 3. He's going to TP out of here. And they're in fact going to go on 1437.
He's going to be able to slow him down long enough to be able to get that ink swell. 1437 going to take a big nuke out, and Morphling showing up for the kill. Doesn't actually get anything off, but barely. Mr. Crowley not only gets that kill, stays ahead of the Burrow Strike as well. Blizzard's going to turn a Sandstorm back onto this Sand King. They're going to pull him back into the Sentry a little bit longer. Bello doesn't know where the Sentry is exactly. Tries to test it out, but eventually has to walk out of his Sandstorm.
Yeah, and Zephyr TP's down bottom to try to protect his core. As does 1437, this is going to give a one-on-one to this top lane. And you see that No Chance already pushing in the lane. It's really heavily pressured Raven, who does have the Midas, but he's at least going to force him away from this tower. It's getting pretty low. You're going to see Swifty. I mean, he was thinking about the rotation up here. And in fact, he's going to make his way towards his top lane. He wants to pressure Raven, who only has the Midas. But he does have a ward on this left side here, and he might just get spotted. And in fact, his mid tower is not getting pressured as Edict is used.
Radiant structures are fortified.
They're going to plop the glyph as a result of that bottom tower being taken, and Swifty is going to give up on that attempt at top.
Rally comes in, they're going to spot him, manage to get the stun onto the Lich though, but it's going to be Zephyr who's out of position here. As long as they land this stun or the slow, they will be able to slow him down just a little bit. The stun actually misses though. 1437 does hit the Split Earth as well, covering each other's tracks, and now they've extended a little bit too far. Crowley goes forward and is met with the full resistance of Tigers. 1437 is going to be beaten down to a pulp, but so is the Lich, as Dendi is able to make sure another one dies. 1437 is the one to pick up the double kill. Looks like Zephyr, though, no longer has the help of Dendi. He's going to be hit by the LSA. That's a double kill for Swifty, but now Bello's going to come in, has the epicenter. Swifty calls Fairy Fire, but he's going to be run down by Bello, and Blizzard is out of damage, still has enough HP to survive, but has to walk away from what is a very tanky Sand King with the double bracer, Magic Wand, and Cloak build.
Radiant's middle
and now mid tower being taken. They don't have a glyph for this, and it's in fact Tigers. I thought it was almost certainly going to be Signify that got this mid tower first. Both supports go for the deny. They do in fact get it, and they need level 6 on both these supports so badly, just to be able to do their combo. But
you're not looking at a good place when both your supports are not level 6 by 10 minutes. That means somebody's going to have to give up their game and not get the tone and just be under level for a long time.
It's the haste. Swifty is going to get stunned up. Dendi hasted. First raise connects. Tries to dodge the stun. Swifty doesn't even throw it out as Dendi going to cut the last hit with the double raise. And so far, it's been all Tigers since the get-go with the 4 bounty runes that they picked up early on. The rotations from both supports. I've been really impressed by both supports here. 1437 and Zephyr have been playing so well. Just the way that they've been moving. 1437's been involved in 7 kills. Zephyr's been involved in a similar amount.
1437 is going to have his level 6 now, so that is a dramatic upgrade in damage for this support Leshrac.
Yeah, and it's a really nice support Leshrac game. Not so much against the Morphling, but they've pressured the Morphling so much in the laning phase that they don't even have to worry about him too much. Like, they've slowed down his game enough to the point where he's had to go into the jungle, played recovery status.
Radiant's top
And
tower is
part of the
under
problem with
attack.
Darkseer as your offlaner is, like, this hero hits a lot of
Radiant
creeps.
structures are fortified.
He is a lot more passive than you'd like as a hero. He was going to go for what looked like the Helm of Dom early on, but back switches to the hood. His Lifestealer just pops out to farm those creeps. Rally's here, invised up, but I don't really know if they quite have the damage yet. As Lich is up here too. They have their double level 6.
Dire's top tower
Look at the
is under
wraparound
attack.
here from 1437 and Dendi. Double smoke up. They're going to slide on through, make sure that there's no vision as they go to backstab Signify here at this top lane. 1437 going to reveal himself onto Lich. Tries to go for the stun, gets silenced up first. Quickly removes that stun.
Oh no, Lich didn't get his ulti off.
Lock down the 2, but Crowley's still going to be chased down, and both our supports end up dying. They didn't get the combination that they were supposed to.
Yeah, the Lich just got bursted a little bit too soon. You saw that it was churning, but just doesn't really have the HP to survive that. Really nice rotation by 1437 and Dendi. You're watching bottom?
Yeah, have you ever seen a Sandstorm standoff like that?
No.
It's weird because Velo has more HP and he has the cloak, but Morphling has 2 lives. So, who really has the advantage in that?
Right now, everybody from Signify just trying to get their farm up, catch back up into this game. They're already down to 6k gold. It's 500 gold a minute. This top tower, 1437's in the area, but there's a heavy defense right now from Signify as all the supports are up here.
And that is supposed to be the way that Signify gets back into the game, right? Is their team fight power. They've got this support duo that has incredible team fight combinations. The Darkseer is well known for being able to be a strong addition to any 5 versus 5. But
yeah, I mean, part of the issue right now for them is there's really deep wards too on the side of Tigers, so they see everything from Signify at the moment.
Under attack.
There's not a whole lot of hiding for them as top tower's getting pretty low, and if they could take that tower and if they could then collapse onto mid lane, like, that's the move that I would like to see. A sentry's gonna go down, but they don't actually know about this obs. It's a little bit too high up for this sent.
Blizzard gonna get out of this bottom lane and head up to top instead and just farm the very safe off-lane jungle
Dire's
area.
top tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified.
As they go for that tier 1 tower, nobody's showing defense. Probably that's another reason why
Oh,
Blizzard doesn't go for it.
1437.
But Crowley is going to be caught here. Zephyr and 1437, you said these supports having such a high impact in the laning
Dire's
phase,
top
and they
tower
continue
has
to do
fallen.
that here at 14
Dire's
minutes into this game.
structures are fortified.
As they're gonna fort to to protect this bottom wave. Should be another free tower. This is going to be a tier 2 pretty early on into the game. And if you're Signify, at some point you should look for a fight. You have a really strong teamfight combo, regardless of how far behind you are. Double Laguna Blade, double Lich Chain Frost.
You can't just keep conceding towers, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can just give up tier 2 towers like this, especially if you're not really getting a big trade of your own. It's not like they got the mid tower as a result of that. They are going to pick up at least one of the bounty runes, but Dendy's in the area. He's going to get pinged out.
What surge is this?
They're all going to come over
Look
here.
at the range of that stun.
The LSA, man. Swifty nails Dendy. Managed to get the wall as well as the Lich armor on top of him. Pulls it back into the wall one more time. Lich pull back, and they do manage to kill Dendy. But so much damage turned around there. I can't believe he was all by himself like that.
Yeah, you saw him with the ward vision try to go onto that Lich, but they had a ward of their own the entire time, so the Lich knew where he was.
Chance going to be
mid
found
lane.
here. So even in a win, a big kickoff like they had on Dendy, Tigers still find something in return.
Yeah, they trade core for core. They still have the 3 top net worths in the game. This Lifestealer's been almost completely untouched since the laning phase, 2-1-1. Has had the Midas for quite some time, and that's starting to kick in. Has the Relic if he wants to.
Center going down, Blink Dagger up, Elo will be able to catch and kill Melina.
You're mine.
Look at that, Zephyr, the hard 5 with the Spirit Vessel.
Oh, he's in a really good spot. Yeah, he's got 1,300 health, good amount of armor. This hero's just good stats overall. His top tower, 1437 Raven up here. Gonna make the go. Velo catches him during the middle of the surge. The TP in from the Nature's Prophet 2, not even needed. So they're gonna pick up another kill alongside the tower. It's now gonna be a 10k gold lead in favor of Tigers, who are just absolutely rolling right now.
And every single time you look at Tigers, there's like some fresh, really big ticket item coming in. Got the Guardian Grease for the SF, the Radiance for the Lifestealer. Still is not there. That's just going to make these team fights even harder. Raven pretty much had total free farm in the lane, and it shows with his Hand of Midas into Radiance now, looking at 10,000 net worth by about 18 minutes.
He is so farmed right now, and they have no way to deal with this Radiance either for the time being.
Yeah.
They're not anywhere close to BKBs. This Morph's nowhere close to being online as a hero. Just has almost an S and Y complete.
And they don't have like the hard initiation to blow him up, to jump and stun the Lifestealer and try and take him out of the fight first things first. So
yeah. They could get the wall off and get a Radiance of their own, but it's not nearly as effective.
yeah.
You've got a hood completed on Velo. He in fact has a pipe, which is such a big pickup item against the double Chain Frost.
For sure.
Regeneration.
An in-boost rune for Dendy. We'll see whether or not Tigers want to make any use of it. But to be honest, there's no rush for them. Just chill out. Keep farming. You said BKB timing is going to be really important for this team, for Dendy, right?
Yeah, but he opted to go for the Greaves, so they have Greaves pipe on their team right now. I'd imagine that means they want to just take smokes, aggressive fights, look for these tower pushes early on. Like, they have really good tower pushing. They've got Nature's Prophet and his summons. They have a free way to hit towers with the Raged Lifestealer. Dendy's really strong himself. He's going to find the jump.
Great pickoff on a Grimstroke. That'll be the smoke reveal for Tigers and a setup of a push on a tier 2. Honestly, a support like that, the Grimstroke, is so important to the team fight of Signify that it guarantees that there's going to be no defense in this tier 2.
Yeah, and even with the glyph almost certain to fall, really just buying some time here. This is how you pressure the Morph. Just don't give him any of the free lanes that he normally gets. Put the Lifestealer in whatever lane he wants to go to. Push out all the outer towers and just kind of force him into a do or die situation. Because this hero doesn't really want to fight early on. We saw that with Scam yesterday where all he did was hit creeps for 20 minutes. Oh,
Bello. He thought he was going to catch the Morphling farming. But Blizzard played it very conservative, as we've seen before from him.
I mean, do you even get a kill with that? It's only a 2-second stun. You probably get the
If
rage
he's
off.
like full agility, maybe.
Oh, Dendy's invised up right now. He knows that Blizzard's there. They know about the
Smoke
smoke.
is going to break on Dendy. Blizzard is going to be caught here. Spirit Vessel late on
He's
him.
invis though.
Trying to get off a good ultimate. Cancel it for a moment there. Holding on to it. Now he's going to get stunned up. Finally, it does go down. The damage has already been done, though. 1437 is dead. Mello quite low. Has to Burrow Strike down to the low ground finally. Signify do manage to get a team fight they can possibly win here, especially with the vacuum. Delase into two-man Burrow Strike. What a combo from Signify. That will help them get back into this game one, which was looking like it was just going to be a one-sided stomp, no response whatsoever. But finally, Signify have something to say.
I mean, their 5-on-5 teamfight is really strong. They have a ton of ways to combo, the vacuum wall into the LSA stun, and Lina's got an Aether Lens, so the range on that is almost impossible for her to miss. They have ways to deal with Tigers if they can just find the jump, and they finally get it right there. And I feel like Dendy just waited half a beat too long with his ult.
I don't know why he just kept canceling.
Yeah, you might as well just channel it there. Get the double raise off onto the Lina. At the very least, you force her back.
Yeah.
And she has to reposition there. They probably don't get at least 1 or 2 of those additional kills. And even just for the damage reduction.
And it's another pick off for Tigers, though. Swifty gets found just outside of his base.
Under attack.
And as a result, looking like a tier 2 as well.
Radiant's
Signify
top
got
tower
a
is
little bit
falling.
too cocky there. I mean, the combination of Raven plus the Sand King is pretty much going to blow up anybody on the map.
Yeah.
Sans maybe the Darkseer.
Hedamitis, Zephyr. Our 4 position is trying to turn it into a core.
Radiant are scanning.
He almost is one. Despite that team fight, though, Tigers still ahead by 12,000 now. So while we saw the power of Signify's team fight, they're going to need a lot more of those before this game start becoming a little bit more even. Crowley spotted for a moment there. They do have a dust. So
I was meant for more.
he will die once again. The Boots of Travel, Blink, Pipe on Sand King Velo is so far.
You imagine you just go for the Roche if you're Tigers.
Yeah.
You're in such a good position. You've got the tier 2 mid and the tier 2 top. You get this Aegis. This is probably going to be a pretty easy high ground for you. I'd even like to see them maybe potentially give this to Dendy, because I don't think they can really burst down Raven.
Yeah.
As Dendy does have the presence aura affects the buildings. He's got a haste rune for this too. They don't have the easiest way to jump on Raven anyways. In fact, it is going to go to Dendy. They agree.
And if they don't have an easy way to jump on Raven, then you're going to have the same issue jumping onto Dendy once he has that BKB, and he's very close to it. So I could see them just waiting it out 2 or 3 minutes before they try and force the next objective. BKB and Aegis, that sounds impossible to me.
Yeah. Their high ground potential still really good.
Whoa, what is this? This is medallion build
On the
for the Lifestealer. He's going to go for a full Solar Crest.
a lot of Lifestealers do this.
Yeah.
I think this is the let's end the game at 20 minutes build
Yeah.
right now. As Zephyr going to guess up there, but Darkseer, they have no way to cancel his TP. So they're just going to reset a little bit. As you can see, the Lina right now does have most of the money for Yule Scepter, but is opting to instead just save. Then he's going to pick up the invis. All of his team right now gathering around that top area. Probably wants to finish that BKB. He's only 300 gold away from it.
All right, well, it's looking like it's a do-or-die scenario for Signify.
Radiant's top
They can
tower
very
is under
easily get
attack.
2 lanes of racks here if they don't manage to defend. Tigers maintaining a very spread out position. They do not want to get caught with this Grimstroke Lich duo.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
It's going to be the vacuum. And I think if you're Tigers, you probably just wait this out as the two-man stun. No, it only connects on the Dendy.
Almost getting blown up right away. It looks like he is going to fall out with the Aegis. Actually, the Radiance didn't take him down. He's going to survive here, and the Grimstroke Ultimate doesn't manage to finish anybody off either. So they buy back, and now they're going to jump back onto the Morphling here, who's down to half HP. Full strength more for him.
You probably just reset and go again.
I mean, I can't believe they used the Chain Frost without the Grimstroke.
They have to be more patient about that. That's the entire point of the combo.
Yeah.
That's the entire point of the support duo is for you to be able to get Grimstroke ulti in conjunction with the Chain Frost. I mean, not doing that just kind of makes it pointless as a duo.
Yeah. It does look like Tigers. I mean, they should punish this timing, right? They know no Chain Frost, no Laguna Blade, no wall. You could just go high ground again. A lot less to fear, especially now with the BKB for Dendy. So after a quick shrine and a full refresh for Tigers, you go back to it.
Radiant's
There's no
top
wall
tower
now
has
for
fallen.
at least 20 seconds. Tigers right now, they're just feeling
Radiant
it.
structures
No
are
chance,
fortified.
okay, you put the ink swell on him, but that's a raged up Lifestealer. He can't really do anything about that. Really great vacuum, but the LSA was off the mark because they got sucked into the building. And the LSA, he didn't know where they were going to end up after they popped out of that building area, so.
And the buyback from the Darkseer, but Raven just pops the rage, goes in for the tower. Dendy has BKB.
Radiant's top tower
Morphling
has fallen.
trying to defend as best he can, but his damage is just kind of pitiful compared to the sustain that Tigers has.
Yeah, and Tigers, they're going to pick up a melee Rax there for their troubles. I don't even think Dendy had to pop his BKB during any of that.
Radiant's bottom shrine is under attack.
Solar Crest completely finished by Raven. And they're really trying to end this game as fast as possible. Plus, he's got the 20% evasion talent, with it, which I think is really effective against heroes
Radiant's
that
bottom
don't naturally
shrine
build
is
an
under
MKB.
attack.
I mean, who's going to build MKB at this point on the side of Signify? They're so far behind in gold. No one can farm anywhere. I mean, they're just sending out the Lich to try to get some wards out. I don't even know if they expect him to survive doing this, but he's in fact just going to be able to get out.
Radiant's bottom
Bottom shrine
shrine
being cleaned up
bottom shrine
by the Nature's
has
Prophet
fallen.
by himself, who honestly is pretty unkillable. He's got 1700 HP. Blizzard's going to try, though. Open up on him.
Dire's structures
Look at him, he's
are
not even
fortified.
bothering using that Force Staff. He turns around, puts the Spirit Vessel onto Blizzard. Spirit Vessel is such a hard counter to that Morphling, and if they get him as well, Lich does manage to survive, but still the hard carry down. It's time for Tigers to force at least one buyback here. Crowley does manage to get back to the safety of his base, but that safety will not last for long as Tigers start turning all their damage onto the tier 3.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
And Signify, they're going to have to make a decision here whether they're going to buy back on the Morphling, which is just going to
Radiant's bottom
kill
tower
his net
has
worth,
fallen.
or if they're going to lose
Radiant's middle
a
tower
second
is under
melee
attack.
Rax here.
I mean, he's up in 20 seconds. I feel like you just hold it. I don't think even with him up, you can defend
Oh,
this.
managed to get the Grimstroke. That's going to be a Soul Bind here on the side, but they have no
They lost their
Lich, they
Lich.
have no Chain Frost, they have no damage to lay into this Soul Bind. So again, the combination just doesn't come to fruition.
And Raven's going to walk all the way around here.
Here comes the Epicenter. Blinking is going to be able to catch no chance. Looks like the Darkseer is going to be quickly blown up. He does not have a buyback. That is a full set of racks at bottom. And there is nothing stopping Tigers now.
Radiant's
They're just going to
middle
keep
tower is
going.
under attack.
Head to mid. Finish up at top lane. Hit the Megas. And Signify, unless Blizzard can do something about this, tries to go in with the Inkswell. His backline is being assaulted. Fortunately, the Glimmer Cape is going to keep the Grimstroke alive, but what's going to keep this Morphling alive is he tries to turn into a Lifestealer and turn back into Morphling to see if he can keep himself up, but it's just not going to happen. Burst Strike away for Velo to get away from Swifty, but that's it. Incredibly dominant game one. It was Tigers all the way. We had one little hiccup where where Signify were able to win a fight, but everything before and after that was all Tigers.
Yeah. That was about as dominant as it gets. I think the majority of it comes down to the fact that just their lanes never really went the way that they wanted to. They never really got to execute any sort of team fights, and probably most importantly, they never got the combo off.
Yeah. All right, well, that is going to be it for game number 1. Hopefully, game 2 will be a little bit more competitive, as we want to see a game where Signify can actually stand up to Tigers. We'll see whether or not that happens after the break.